Hi, welcome to the Wired
and Rewired podcast all about the hit HBO series.
Fight through it, Ellie.
The Wire.
I'm Chris, and this is my 1,000th time watching The Wire.
And this is Ellie. It's my first.
If you're new to the force or a longtime veteran, we think you'll find something here to enjoy. Today we are covering Season 5, Episode 2, Unconfirmed Reports. And as always, we begin by busting a recap. Although he tells Sidner the Davis investigation could be a career case, Freeman keeps a wary eye out for Marlo, who takes care of some unfinished business and strikes a business deal with Barksdale. Carcetti throws the police a bone by removing the cap on secondary employment, sending the detectives into fantasy job reveries. With an eye on the State House, Chief of Staff Steintorf tries to find good news for the mayor while blaming the Royce administration for the Campbell revelation. Davis turns to Burrell for help with his problem, but the commissioner's hands are tied. At the newspaper, executive editor Whiting outlines a Pulitzer-worthy series in broad strokes, trumping Haynes while liberating the ambitious Templeton. Fed up with broken-down cars and unsolved serial murders, McNulty decides to take matters into his own hands. The episode was written by William F. Zorzi, a.k.a. Bill Zorzi, and directed by Ernest Dickerson. This is his 5th episode directing, I believe, and it premiered on January 13th, 2008.
Okay.
All right, Ellie, why don't you kick it off by busting out that epigraph?
This ain't Aruba, bitch.
No,
Said by Bunk.
And it is 35 degrees outside. It is definitely not Aruba here either. Yeah.
No.
But this studio is quite cozy. This is Ellie's, a
little happy place.
And it is very welcoming.
It's warmed up.
But still not Aruba. So in any
No.
case. All right. Well, before we get into the episode itself, as always, we take a look at your predictions. You only hit a couple, but
okay. Still
worth looking at. Bubbles gets to come upstairs, so we didn't see that this episode. Keep an eye out for it, though. Carcetti, actually, I just wrote down, not sure what he's going to do. So that is still the case. So that is it.
Prediction.
And Marlo will not slip up. Also correct. So,
okay.
Although, who knows? Maybe so. So
maybe.
We'll see.
We'll see these next moves.
Yeah. So now it's starting to get a little bit more meat on the bone for you to chew on. So we'll see what you come up with this particular episode. But those were the only predictions for this episode. And just a couple little other notes. There's a commentary on the DVD from Bill Zorzi and Clark Johnson, who plays Gus Haynes. And I think that's basically it for this episode. I did want to mention before we get into it, though, I forgot you had teed up the music, the theme music, and I completely forgot to mention. We didn't end up
talking about it. Yeah.
So the interesting thing about this one is that unlike season 4, where they incorporated kids singing the theme song, this one is sung by Steve Earle, who plays Waylon. And I'm guessing that on top of David Simon knowing him as a friend, he's also playing a bigger role this season, obviously. So having him also sing the theme song, I think was probably just where they took it. And the theme song is actually this particular one is, I think, a little more polarizing. I happen to like it, but some people find it to be their least interesting
I am not a fan.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So there you go. In this
Sorry,
very studio.
Steve. I like you, but didn't care for this version.
And then, well, that's fine enough, I guess. Anything in particular? It's a little bit like...
It doesn't... It's just there's not enough variation in the notes.
I see.
Yeah, it's like hardly goes a couple steps up and steps down from what he repeats over and over and over
Interesting.
again. So, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. That's as much better analysis than I provided, so there you go. It just sounds good. It's all I care about. And then one other life lesson that I forgot to mention. There were two in that, but I can't remember the second one. But when Gus is walking out of the Metro meeting, and the woman that was in there, her name is Rebecca Corbett, is the character's name.
Yeah.
She was saying, why are you poking him with the stick? And Gus says, what a newsroom is? It's a place where they argue all the time about matters of substance, and I feel like there's a really important lesson there, which is art is good. And, Ellie was just sharing a story with me. Argument is good, and sometimes it can be. Most of the time, you end up further ahead than where you were when you started, provided that you do so civilly and respectfully, and are open to the other person's position.
100%.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Like
it.
All right. So that's it. That's it for that. So I think unless there's anything else, we can get started.
Okay. Wait, did I bust out the epigraph already? I did.
You did, yes.
Okay.
We had a whole thing about how this studio is not like Aruba.
How did I forget that already? Oh my God. Okay. Here we go. Dirty Dishes and Penance is where I'm going to start. With
Okay,
Bubbles.
nice.
We're going to go to Major Crimes, Down with Davis.
Okay.
I say Major Crimes, but really it's just
Yes.
it's just two people.
Yep.
Okay. Marlo goes for the Greek. We've got Shining Shit with Carcetti. Trust but Verify. That's at the Baltimore Sun. And The Serial Killer Solutions. This is
Okay.
with McNulty and Homicide.
All
All right, let's start with Dirty Dishes and Penance.
Okay.
Okay, at a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, we have a recovering addict. Her name's Dee Dee. She's talking about how addiction really messed up her life, pushed her into doing things that she told herself she would never do, including sex work, and even, limits on that she ended up breaking. She breaks down. She describes how the addict inside of her still feels alive and dangerous. She said, bitch wants to kill me, and said, try to keep me from coming here today. It's really powerful and a lovely performance by that actress. Waylon is there. He's leading the meeting, and Bubbles is there too. And since they have extra time, Waylon calls on Bubbles, and you can tell instantly that he does not want to go up. But he does. He goes up, he says, hey, he's 15 months clean, gets a round of applause, and then he starts describing his dope fiend lean and gets laughs, what he kind of looked like standing while high. He said he's so out of it, kids would hang Christmas ornaments on him. He kind of goes through this whole list, continues to get laughs, and then he starts to talk about his lowest point, but then he shuts down and says it's not the day. He gives up the floor, and Waylon is, you can tell, disappointed, and then he calls on another person that's there, Marvin, to come up instead.
How about you, Bubbs? Hadn't heard from you in a while.
Get up there.
Hi, you know who I am?
Hey, Bub.
Bubbs. Bubbles.
What's up, Bubbles?
I'm a grateful addict. Been clean 15 months Thursday. As long as I've been off. I used to get so high, I used to love to be high. And y'all see me out there on Mumbo and Fed doing the dope fiend lean, right? Be like this here. Come out of it, get a little more upright. Kind of realize people treat me like a lamppost. They hanging flyers on me and shit. Come winter, little kids hanging Christmas balls on me like a damn tree. Summertime, they walk me over to the garden where the 909 used to be. Make me a scarecrow. Yeah. I just love to get high. Got to the point. I'm not in the right place to talk about this right now.
Keep coming back, Bubbs.
Yeah, did you recognize the woman from the beginning?
No.
That is Dee Dee.
Okay.
She, as you said, her name is Jen Hudson Price.
Okay.
That she is the daughter of Richard Price, one of the writers.
Oh,
on the
no
story.
way.
And this is the third arc. This is the third episode of her arc. So she has 3 episodes.
Okay.
And you see her entire arc. So
Oh, wait. Does she buy drugs in the car?
She does.
Okay.
Yes. And then in season 4, she is in Old Face Andre's store.
That's
talking
right.
to him about... Andre is talking to her about her pimp.
Yes.
And now she's here.
Oh my
and she is
gosh.
clean
Okay,
up. So.
I forgot about the season 4 one.
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you
And-
for the reminder.
No, yeah, sure. And of course, it's just one of those really fascinating little vignettes, right?
Yes.
You have the start of, she seems like she's a young kid probably thinks that, she's on top of her drug addiction. And then, one thing leads to another, that she's at her lowest point. And now here she is, clean, but of course still fighting to stay clean. But you have this little arc, and I just love that.
That's pretty cool.
I just love it.
It is really cool how they just, kept that going through the series.
Yeah. And Clark Johnson mentioned here in the commentary that he directed the pilot, and he said that he thought at the time that Bubbs would last only about 3 episodes.
Oh my gosh.
And it is a testament to Andre Royal for making the character so compelling, which is, you picked up right away in the very first episode, thereabouts. And so anyway, but yeah, and of course you got like how he shuts down knowing where he was going to go.
Yep.
So,
yep. Okay, well, afterwards, they're outside, and Waylon says, it was great. You started out with the humor, but why didn't you go on? He tells me, it's the jokes are not the point. Honesty is the point here. And he points to Dee Dee as an example, and, says she damn near bled out with how she was sharing about herself. And he starts to bring up Sherrod, but Bubbles immediately pulls away. And at that point, Waylon reminds him that recovery means taking a searching and fearless moral inventory. That is step 4 of a 12-step program, apparently. And Bubbles says he already lives with what he did every day. Waylon tells him that feeling the pain is part of letting it go. And, Bubbles says he feels nothing. And Waylon tells him, you were never somebody who lacked feelings. Even when you were using, having feelings was not a problem for you. So don't make it a problem now.
Yep.
I thought that was super powerful.
Funny how you started out.
What do you mean?
Dope fiend, lean and all. Why didn't you keep going? You hear a lot of funny shit in these rooms. People making fun of their mistakes, making people laugh. But in between all the jokes, there's a lot of truth to be spoken. Like that girl today, she damn near bled out, didn't she? For a second there, I thought you might actually stand up and talk about Sherrod. A searching and fearless moral inventory, that's the step.
Now, don't tell me about that. I live with that every fucking day, man.
You gotta let it out to let it go. I'm your sponsor, and I'm telling you, you gotta get out of your head, outside yourself.
I never missed a meeting.
I'm not talking about the meetings. I'm talking about where you go after the meetings. Talking about what you do, what you think, what you feel.
I don't feel nothing.
That was never your problem. Not even as a low-bottom dope fiend, that was never the problem. It'd be a fucking shame to make it the problem now.
Yeah, and I think that what's really... what I think is really interesting about Waylon's conversation with him, first of all, is I like how he sees Bubbles and saying, this is not who you are.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's something always very valuable about having someone in your life that really sees you and, sees you with love, and as Waylon does. But also he's trying, there's a bit of tough love in there too, right? In that he is not letting Bubbles off the hook. Right. For... what he has to go through.
Yes.
So it's just this story is really just compelling right now about where they are.
Oh, for
in
sure.
That process. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, Bubbles goes to a place called Viva House, which appears to be a soup kitchen that's operated by the Catholic Church. He's there for a meal. His number comes up, and he's invited in. He's apparently known there. The person at the door greets him by name. And when inside and waiting for his meal, he watches this stressed out mother yelling at her screaming child. Now, that's not Dee Dee, is it?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. And the mother threatens to hit her child. And at that moment, staff person comes in and says, hey, we don't allow violence here, and she stops. But Bubbles watches that, which is interesting. Later, he sees Dee Dee again, right? This time it is Dee Dee, and Dee Dee has a child with her. I think they're waiting for the next meeting to start, maybe. Waylon asks him to speak again to fill in for somebody else who's not there, but he refuses. And Waylon tells him, you got to step up for something. It doesn't matter where, but you have to step up, do your part. So he goes later back to the Viva House and asks the man there if he can help out. And he's offered a serving job first, the guy says, hey, that's the best part, is giving the food to the people. We'll agree with that. You've served the homeless with me before.
Sure.
And it is very rewarding, but he says he can't handle that. So he ends up washing pots and pans instead. And the way he's doing it with kind of this, I don't know, it's like anger. It's almost like you can tell he's doing this as like penance or punishment to himself.
Very good. Yes,
yeah.
correct.
So that's what I got for Bubbs.
Yeah, so just a couple of little notes for you. So the Viva House is an actual place.
Oh, no way.
And it is run by Brendan Walsh, not
Okay.
Brandon Walsh from 90210. Brendan Walsh is what I got, and his wife Willa, and those are actually them.
No way.
And so yes, the wife is the Willa comes out and talks to the mom, and yeah, and so that was, and I was just noticing this time like that scene with the mom just absolutely I was like started to tear up watching it.
Oh my God. She gets mad at him for grabbing the food on her plate.
Right. And there's it's just really tricky, right? I mean, I've lost my temper, not ever with physical violence with my kids, but I have, and and I can only imagine, I live a relatively stress-free life, and I can only imagine when you're in a place like that where, you don't know where your next meal is coming from.
Exactly.
And we'll talk about that a little bit more when it comes to the school system discussion, things like that. So that was one. And I mean, but it just, it's the scene is just heartbreaking, kind of top to bottom, because you want to get, you're frustrated with the mom for like, how do you not have this patience? But then, she's got her own, defenses up, or she has no defenses either, because she's trying to eat a meal and that kind of thing.
Probably, struggling with housing and resources for her child and for herself.
Yeah. And, and it's, just for those who don't have kids, it's weird how you can assign motive to a child crying, even though like that kid obviously is just going through the same experience, right? And just stressed and whatever else. And yet you can feel like when your defenses are down, that they are deliberately antagonizing you, and you respond with frustration. So it's it's a very telling scene in a very, short little thing. So there was that. And then Bill Zorzi, again, the writer for the episode, speaking of Bubbles and how he's scrubbing, he called it the out damn spot scene, because that's, as you said, like that's what Bubbles is trying to do. He's trying to work out his penance. And that one detail that I liked was that Bubbles is sweating.
Yes.
Right. He is really working hard at trying to clean these pots and pans. And so, of course. And so let me ask you, now that going through that, like, what do you, I guess this is maybe more obvious for you, but like, what do you feel like, why do you think he chose the pots and pans? And
because he doesn't want to reward himself. He doesn't want anything. He doesn't want to, because, he doesn't think he deserves to feel good.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I think.
I think that's probably right. So, yeah. Yep. So, and I guess like that's interesting. I'm trying to think like, he doesn't feel anything. He doesn't want to feel anything.
Exactly.
Right, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That connects.
That's
Sounds
what
good.
I think.
No, it makes sense to me.
Okay. All right. So let's move on now to Down with Davis. I'm so happy about this.
Sure.
Okay. Freeman and Sidner, we know they're building the case against Davis. We look at a cork board and his picture's at the top of that bulletin board. They start scrolling the camera down or panning the camera down, and you see these checks, you see dates, you see names, including Royce and Campbell. And then they had some numbers up there too that were law articles, and I just looked them up for fun.
Okay.
So they had 7-104, which is a Maryland criminal law article that defines what theft is. Mm-hmm. And then you have 13601 through 604, which are all about campaign law. And so it's false statements or entries in campaign finance reports, gifts, offers, promises of money or other things of value to another person, and then the criminal and civil penalties for those. So they are trying to tease out exactly what laws Davis is breaking here. So that was fun for me, because I'm a dork.
Now you're a lawyer.
I know. Okay, they go over some paperwork showing how Davis raises money for these fake community projects that never end up happening. And Sidner asks who they'd go after if Davis flips on them, right? Freeman thinks that there's money that cannot be traced to campaign reports and that Davis could lead them to bigger players. We know that he can. Sidner says, that he likes doing street work better. Freeman is just blown away by that statement. He says, this is the kind of case. It is tied to everything that is messed up with this city. It's a once in a lifetime sort of thing. And that is what makes it worth it.
Yeah.
At least for him.
Money that doesn't show up on a campaign finance report. And my guess is that Clay Davis knows about that too.
I don't know, man. I like street work more.
You'd rather sit in a surveillance van days on end waiting to catch Tater handing Pee-wee a vial? This, detective, is what you're telling me? A case like this here, where you show who gets paid behind all the tragedy and the fraud, where you show how the money routes itself, how we're all of us vested, all of us complicit.
Career case, huh?
Baby, I could die happy.
Still, man. I wonder what Marlo is up to right fucking now.
Celebrating.
Okay.
Yeah. So anything else you took away other than all the case law that you clearly studied?
No, I mean, I just am thinking about, I want Davis to go down personally for everything that he has done. But yeah, I mean, of course, if they can get him to talk, he is connected to, I'm sure, these other big drug players. We know because he was willing to work with Stringer, right? So yeah, that's kind of where my brain was going.
Yeah, of course. And so I'll have to play the whole clip, but what I took away this time is I feel like this is something that is really applicable to us now, right? We have this discussion, and actually, interestingly, it has changed quite a lot since this episode aired because of Citizens United, the case that basically allowed for essentially unfettered or unrestricted campaign or advertisements, things like that.
Yeah, good point.
And the thing about this is that whereas this was much more, what's the word? I mean, it's illegal campaign contributions.
Yeah.
But the key takeaway is, of course, that as Freeman lays it out, is like this is the way that money is routed by people in power or people that want influence to people that can actually act on influence.
Yeah.
We all become complicit in that, right? So, for example, Krawcheck, right, is
his name's up
lobbying,
there too, by
right?
the way.
Exactly. So Krawcheck, now he might not be doing anything illegal, but he is influencing Clay Davis in campaign contributions.
Indeed.
And then Clay Davis is going to pay him back somehow. And if you rent or buy a property from Andy Krawcheck, then you are essentially funding that behavior.
Right.
And that is how you become complicit in some way. Now, to be clear, you, the citizen, may not be aware of that. So you are not, consciously complicit. But the point is, I think what Freeman is getting at is that by being ignorant of it, choosing to be ignorant of it, I suppose, is where the complicit nature comes in, right? So, and I'm saying this like I know what I'm talking about. Like I don't know, Susan Del Bene is our representative.
Yeah.
I have no idea who's paying, who's contributing to campaigns.
And when I patronize a certain business, I don't know who they gave money to necessarily, unless something big comes out in the news.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and the point, I guess, the larger point is that like with that, we're all sort of can be define where we want to draw the line,
right?
So it would be very interesting now that I think about it to take away from and like, okay, I need to know the top 10 donors for my representatives, and I need to understand how they are behaving with respect to those people. That would be something valuable for me, and that would be the way for me to at least be aware of how I am contributing to the problem.
Right.
So anyway, so that's but I just feel like it's really all tied up quite interestingly in this one case, because Clay Davis, of course, is, he's not the only one that's ever done this. And,
exactly.
And so to use him as essentially an example would in theory expose all these other cracks in the system that people are exploiting.
Yep.
So anyway, sorry, that was quite a little diatribe for that little thing, but yeah, and then just a note from the commentary. Clark Peters apparently was doing Porgy and Bess in London at this season,
way.
and he was like basically flying back and forth. And just if
gosh.
he wasn't on set, he wasn't on a stage, he was in flight. Which I
Wow.
think is amazing. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that must have been really hard.
Yeah.
Well, he did an excellent job.
Indeed.
Regardless. Okay, so we know the Stanfield investigation has been shut down, but that's not stopping Freeman. He is keeping watch on his own time. So we see him park. He's listening to some Ella Fitzgerald. It's very nice. He pulls out his miniatures magazine, and he just waits. We come back to him again. He is actually listening to the original Piece of My Heart, which I love. You'll probably talk about this later.
Yep.
But
Good ear.
yeah,
Good ear.
it's Aretha Franklin's sister.
Okay.
Irma Franklin. Sorry, I don't want to steal your
No, that's okay.
But I
No,
just like
what do
all
you
the
got?
music
Yeah.
that he listens
Go
to
ahead.
is music that I love. So
That's great.
that made me very happy. He definitely has, he loves some, black women jazz and soul, and,
That's right.
and I'm here for it.
Yep.
Okay, we have someone in the background yelling at her kid.
Right, there you
Again,
go.
we see this kind of interaction with the child that's really concerning and sad. And she throws him into the house before she leaves. He just watches at the door. And, that's where you leave with a piece of my heart.
Yep.
Right.
Oh, right.
Anyhow, this connects too with some stuff that, they talk about with the Baltimore Sun later.
Yep.
Okay, finally back to Lester again, and this time he's listening to Etta James. And his patience has paid off. He sees Stanfield meeting with Partlow and Snoop. We get this little laugh of victory from him.
Yep.
He is satisfied that this has paid off. So there you go. He's done all that waiting. Okay, let me know if you want me to continue or take a break here.
No, you've caught everything, I think. So
Okay.
not much. I mean, not much more to it. He's just waiting and waiting.
He's just waiting.
Like, yeah, I was thinking that I wrote down for when we get into the journalism piece. Man, being a journalist seems like a hard job, but man, that would be really boring. Just
so
sit
boring.
there for God knows how many hours. Ugh.
Just bring a lot of things to do, I
Exactly.
guess. Okay, Freeman catches up the next day with McNulty, who at that moment he's waiting on a medical examiner. And we'll talk about that more later when I get to the homicides side of things.
Okay.
And tells him that Stanfield is using these same meeting locations again. He's starting to get sloppy, just as he predicted. And he tells Jimmy they just need some surveillance equipment and a couple of weeks. They know Daniels can't give it to them because of all the budget cuts, so they are going to go elsewhere, maybe with another connection that McNulty has.
Yes.
So we shall see. By the way, in that scene, I saw, it was kind of cool. I saw there's a sign with the arrows like the birthplace of Babe Ruth is this way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was just like, oh, that's kind of neat. Okay, so who do they go to? They go to Fitz.
Right.
Yes.
Welcome back, Fitz.
Yep. And so they meet him in a parking lot. They play a very childish little back and forth driving game to get on his case beforehand. It's very, very immature, but
Yes.
it was very funny.
Yep.
And they let him know they are still trying to solve the vacant murders. And he's like, wow, 22 murders doesn't rate. Apparently not. They just need a little help from the feds. Tells them, we've done all of the legwork. You guys can have all of the glory.
Fuck you both already.
Couple more years of this, you'll be ready for a radio car.
Why is it you can't come out to my office and do this like grown-ups?
They still make you sign at the front desk at Woodlawn?
Who two knuckleheads piss on this time?
We're still working the edges of something the boss has shut down.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
The bodies and the vacants.
They shut that down? Jesus Christ. What, 22 murders doesn't rate?
Not anymore.
You were on it more than a year. Where were you?
Too close to quit. You know Marlo Stanfield? Chris Partlow? Snoop Pearson?
Those names ring out.
Well, we got nothing back from any lab work. And, so no witnesses, nothing to make a murder prosecution, so we settled in. Sat on him for about a year.
Got a pattern?
Good one. 2 or 3 weeks with some good FBI cameras and wires, maybe half dozen agents.
Like we told you boys when the case broke. We aren't much into ghetto drug shit anymore. Most of our guys are counter-terror and political stuff.
Yeah, we already did all the long legwork. 2 or 3 weeks, you guys end up with a big headline. You federal fucks like headlines.
I'll run it up the flagpole. I'm gonna drive away now.
All right.
It's okay with you two suckholes.
So Fitz, along with a couple other, like the woman I recognize who was in there, the other feds, they seem in favor of going after this with what they're saying. But whoever's their boss man person, he leans back in his chair. We see him fold his hands, and we don't have an answer yet.
Right.
Okay. Freeman walks into headquarters after this meeting. Sorry, he had some other business. Perlman is there to talk about the plan for Clay Davis. She tells them they need to build this case carefully from the outside in, work around the edges of it. Sidner wonders if Davis expects an indictment. And Perlman says, he probably always has been.
Mm-hmm.
But then we go to Davis. And he is storming around. He is carrying on in Burrell's office. He wants help from Burrell. He tells him, I've done so much for you. You're the commissioner. Why can't you do something? Burrell says, my hands are tied. He cannot interfere with the mayor and state's attorney involved in this case. Again, Davis keeps saying, hey, I helped you get that pay raise, that new patio you have. That's me. And Burrell says, look, if I go around Daniels, that's going to be a criminal offense. And Daniels is Carcetti's boy. So this is going to be really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Davis is furious. I love he stutters even while he's talking to him.
Yep. Great
and
stuff.
he leaves just pissed off. He warns Burrell he will not forget this.
And it's your people up in my shit. Not no feds, not no safe people from Annapolis. It's motherfuckers from my own city.
My hands are tied here, Clayton. It's a new mayor, a new state's attorney.
I'm out there doing the Lord's work for you, Irv. You know it. Who got that pay raise through the council? Just enough for you to get that new patio, but not enough for that guy from Pittsburgh to take your place.
Look, I wish I could. I wish I could. But with Carcetti in, people are watching. I got eyes on me now.
You the commissioner still, right?
Yeah, but it ain't like it was.
Well, if you don't control it, who does?
On this, I gotta reach around Daniels. And he's Carcetti's boy. Look, this is a grand jury investigation, for God's sake. We could both be charged with obstruction of justice.
Oh, God damn it, Irv. I've been there for you. Carry water for you, and you do me like this.
Clay, I can't. Nobody could.
You think I'm going down, don't you? You think I'm done. All y'all ungrateful bitches thinking you can throw me out the boat.
Clay.
All right? I'm gonna remember this moment, Irv. I'm gonna hold on to this moment. Yeah.
And then right after Rawls comes in, tells Burrell they've already massaged the stats as much as they safely can. So what are they going to tell the mayor? Again, no answer to that question. We have so many things that are left unanswered. But we do go back to Fitz. He tells Jimmy that the case is a no-go right now because someone at City Hall has pissed off the U.S. attorney and that he's trying to figure out what happened. But tell Lester right now, no federal agency can help you out with this. Mm-hmm. Not even Fish and Wildlife.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, well done covering all that. That's quite a lot.
It was a lot, but back up if you need.
Yeah, no, I will back up a little bit. So I think because we talked about Lester already. So the Fitzhugh, Freeman, and McNulty, great, a great a little bit of them giving him the business, and then the visual snapshot of the two cars. Right, you have Fitzhugh in the Crown Victoria, and you have. I think Lester's in a Buick, and it's it's burning more oil than it is gas, which is a line from the commentary, which I thought was hilarious. And then then the reveal of the FBI lead, right? So did you recognize the guy at the table, right?
No, I didn't recognize him. So help me.
Okay, so the camera starts off showing Snoop and Partlow and Marlo in the mugshots, and over the shoulder essentially of the kind of the guy who leans back, and you're seeing all the FBI agents, and then as it turns around, this is the guy that Carcetti told him to get out of his office, and it wasn't going to let Clay Davis go federal.
Oh my gosh.
And,
okay. I missed that.
Yeah. So that was him. And so, of course, just a brilliant thing. I just love how he takes a deep breath, and that's when they cut.
That's when they cut.
No need to say, because you already know. I'm going to tell that later. and then I just thought there was kind of an interesting parallel, because when McNulty in season 1, they go to the feds, McNulty pisses off the feds and ends up kind of screwing himself, and Carcetti essentially had this opportunity, but because he handled it so poorly, he screwed himself. And
yes,
so
he did.
So just an interesting coincidence.
Oh my gosh.
There you go. Yeah, and I think that's pretty much it. So nicely done, and I guess that gives us they're on their own, and McNulty's got to figure out his own way.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, let's move on to Stanfield.
Okay.
Marlo goes for the Greek. Okay, Stanfield meets up with Partlow and Snoop, and they're talking about how they're no longer under surveillance. The pressure has passed now. So they decide it is time to move. And it's good because Snoop is apparently getting antsy, not murdering anybody for a while. Too much talk, not enough action.
Yep.
And so Marlo orders an assault on Franklin's crew for refusing his package, and also tells them that they need to murder somebody named Junebug because they are spreading rumors about him. And he also tells them, we need to bring Omar out of retirement. The rumor is Omar is down south. And Marlo says, people cannot steal. If people can steal from me without any consequence, then having the crown does not mean much.
Right.
He ain't seen nothing either. Besides, I think we good as long as we move it around like this.
Back to business, I see.
She ain't had no work in a few months. She's somewhat eager.
God damn, right? Too much fucking talking around here lately, man. Niggas need to shut the fuck up, for real.
All right, first thing. We go hard at Webster Franklin's crew. Gave him a chance to get on a tit. He passed. Then we bang on his corners a couple of times till he fold.
Now you talking.
Yeah. Next, we stepped the Junebug for talking that shit. He was a dead man when he opened his mouth. He just walking around not knowing it. And I want that dick sucker. He took my money and the whole world know. He got the fall.
Omar rolled out in retirement and shit.
I'm hearing somewhere south.
Bring his ass back out of retirement.
All right. Yeah, we can step that shit up. But he's gonna be coming at us like we're coming at him. I mean, Joe and them, they still let that be.
The crown ain't worth much if the nigga wearing it always getting his shit took. And Joe ought to know that. Let him come.
Yeah, just a quick thing about they were scouting the locations for season 5, and they saw a kid wearing a shirt with an image of Snoop on it, which they just thought was amazing.
Oh my gosh.
They were talking about how that just the characters really resonated and connected with the people of Baltimore, which was pretty neat. But so I just want to just double check. You got the three different groups, which you did, so that it could be easy to kind of miss these things because we don't know who Webster Franklin is and we don't know who Junebug is. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Okay. So Marlo goes to Jessup, and he is expecting to see Sergei Molotov, right? Because remember in the previous episode, Chris grabbed the files to find out where he was. But instead of getting to Sergei, he gets Avon Barksdale.
Welcome back, Avon.
Welcome back. I started that movie that has Leonardo DiCaprio in it, that new one.
Oh, One Battle After Another?
Yeah, and Wood Harrelson's in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know. So I was like, I haven't seen you for a while.
I've been holding off on that for no good reason. I wanted to, I've been wanting to see it, so that's cool.
I was going to watch it on the plane, and let's just say, the whole beginning of that is a lot of sex stuff, so I was feeling not comfortable with anybody looking over my shoulder.
Okay.
So I'll have to finish that up another time.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. So Avon knows exactly what Marlo's there for. And he tells him, if you want access to the Greeks, you got to go through me, because here in the clink, I am an authority figure. He says he's willing to let bygones be bygones after Marlo went at him, and that he believes in sticking by other West Siders. So he agrees to set up a meeting if Stanfield will send $100,000 to his sister. And Seems like he agrees. He asks Marlo, how's it going otherwise?
Yeah.
And he says, the game is the game.
Yeah.
And Avon says, always.
Yeah.
As a reply.
Yeah.
Surprise. My man Sergey thought we should talk first.
Talk about what?
That's on you, young. Whatever business you trying to do through the Russian, you gotta go through me first.
Yeah?
Yeah. Cause up in this bitch here, I'm what you might consider an authority figure. Everybody gotta get my help or ask my advice, like on all kinds of shit. Sergey stepped to me the other day saying this nigga Marlo, who you don't even know, just be sending him cash money to get on his visiting list. So then he asked me if I knew Marlo. I tell him, hell yeah, I know Marlo real well. Over West Side, everybody know everybody, right? Let me help you find your tongue. You trying to get to the Russian so you can get a line to his people. You trying to get to the Greek motherfuckers because if you can, you want to cut Proposition Joe and all them other East Side bitches out to connect. I mean, you a natural businessman, right? But this is the thing, though, and I mean, I'm with you on all that as far as it goes, West Side definitely need to stick together, you know what I mean? And all the fuss about you coming at me, I say let bygones be bygones, but fuck all them East Side bitches. That's just the way I feel about it. I got nothing but love in my heart for West Side niggas, nothing but love. Of course, I mean, I got to have my taste too.
Figured that.
So send my sister 100 large, and the next time you come to Jessup, it won't be my girl talking at you. My word on that.
100 large, huh?
So what's up, man? What's up with you otherwise,
The game is a game.
Always.
What did you think about Avon being loyal to the West Side?
I didn't believe it personally.
Really?
No, I didn't. I mean, like after Marlo went at him like that, no, it just didn't seem very convincing to me. So I don't really feel like that is his motivation for helping Marlo, but that he's using it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I think there's just something interesting because I guess I not having been steeped in it, I wonder I guess I always believe that this is how realistic it is.
Yeah.
Like people are much more loyal, even when you might be in conflict with them.
Right.
Like once the game, quote unquote, is over, and Marlo won, then Avon, it's bygones be bygones because they're both West Side.
Yeah.
Right. So once you kind of figure out where to, how you can coexist, then after that, you're now essentially loosely aligned, I guess. So I don't know. I was wondering about that, but it feels like, I've got more loyalty with the other West Siders than I do with the East Side, I suppose. So, or that's all Avon's old school way of thinking, I guess.
Yep.
Which is kind of how they got in trouble to begin with, but in any case.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how Avon kind of put it to Marlo though, and Marlo, of course, but he asked for a certain amount of money, but it wasn't enough that it would have made Marlo broke,
right. Mm-hmm. But he's still looking out for Brianna.
Right,
so that's
exactly.
Good.
Yep.
Okay, so out on the street, we've got Snoop and Monk and O-Dog in a car, and they are going to go for Franklin.
Right.
O-Dog wants to do it West Coast style. He wants to do a drive-by. So they do it, and, Snoop finds this idea hilarious, but says, okay, let's go ahead and do it. Of course, it's not very effective at getting people, so Snoop gets out and just calmly finishes the job, saying that in Be More, they actually try to hit their targets.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to have this in my life lesson, but I'll just say it here, that if you're running away from somebody with a gun, run in a serpentine fashion. So that S shaped or Z shaped. It's just a lot safer.
Yes.
So don't run in a straight. Don't run in a straight.
Yes.
And sorry, not to hit it. Sorry, you already caught it, but so this is the first of the three, right? This is Webster Franklin's crew.
Yes.
And by the way, I meant to talk about this last time because I was like, the guy that showed up in the first episode of the season and was saying, split's got to be fair.
Yeah.
And Marlo's like, this is the way it is.
Right.
And So this was the result of him not
just accepting
taking the
it
money,
instantly.
which I just think it's so interesting because the guy basically had no choice but to take it, because if he didn't, then they were going to go after him anyway.
Yeah.
Right? That's basically what happened here.
It happens regardless.
Yeah. And so it's just, Marlo's just basically, once the MCU got pulled off, then he's just like, okay, well, let's just, wipe out however many people I feel like wiping out. It's brutal.
Yeah, he's not very nice.
No.
Okay. So now Partlow, Snoop, and Michael are staking out Junebug's house, and they are continuing their, how to murder people lessons for Michael. Part of this is the importance about being early. And Michael questions killing somebody over rumors about shit talking, right? Like, it's not even the shit talking. It is that a rumor that he did some shit talking. But Partlow explains that reputation is everything. Snoop reinforces that, tells him basically to just shut up and get ready.
Yeah.
And so the plan is that Snoop and Partlow will go in through the front and Michael comes around the back. They tell him to drop anybody he sees. Snoop then cuts the power to the city watch camera, it looked like. And they go in, the hit goes down, you hear some screaming, and then Michael from the back sees a child run out the back gate. He doesn't shoot him. You just see this expression on his face that is kind of unbelieving of the situation. A bit appalled.
Yeah.
And so we'll have more on the outcome of this murder later when we join up with what's happening in Homicide.
Yep.
So that for now.
Yeah.
How long we been here?
More than an hour.
Why you think we sitting here?
See who home and who not. Who on the block. Police and whatnot.
That's right. You don't ever want to be the last man to a party, you feel me? That's why I show up to a job an hour before. Sometimes two. Don't want nobody setting up on me while I'm setting up on them.
'Cause there ain't no good thing about motherfucking surprises in this line of work.
Why we doing Junebug anyway?
Heard he called Marlo a dick sucker. Talk shit like that.
You heard. You ain't sure?
People say he said it.
Don't matter if he said it or not. People think he said it. Can't let that shit go.
Why not? I mean, Marlo ain't suck no dick, right? So, if Marlo knows he ain't suck dick, then what the fuck he care what Junebug say? What anybody say? Why this boy gotta get dead just for talking shit?
'Cause he got a big motherfucking mouth, that's why. And you need to stop running your own mouth, youngin'.
So those cameras are real.
Okay.
And so that, but with the intent of crime deterrence, but, not particularly effective. But yeah, I thought that there was an interesting connection. So, we kind of talked about last season about the education and Michael being brought in and educated as he went along. And here is Chris trying to school him, but there's a limit. Michael's learning that there's a limit to how much you are allowed to learn and how much you're allowed to understand.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so
some things you
by
just
asking,
have to accept.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I said so.
Yeah, exactly. And so I just thought that was interesting. And of course, this horrific result. And for Michael, being closer to kid, having a kid brother and being that is close to this child's age, I assume, makes it all the more personal for him. So,
Yep. Okay. Later up, Stanfield ends up meeting with Molotov with Avon's blessing. So Avon is there, kind of standing in the background. And Marlo says, I'm the one that's been putting money in your commissary account. And Sergei's kind of like, meh, this is not even a prison to me compared to what I'm used to in Russia. Says, I don't need you and I don't need your help. But the way that Marlo kind of phrases it is like, okay, maybe you don't need my money, but Von just might want my money. And if he does, and you're the person that set this up, then, that looks good for you,
Sure.
right? So what is the harm of arranging this introduction?
Right.
And so it seems like he accepts that idea.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the background, we have Avon kind of throwing up his dubs, his West Side dubs in the corner.
Yeah.
Like, I got you, boy.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go.
Yep.
What's up, Boris? You know who I am? I'm that rich uncle been putting all that money in your canteen account.
In my country, I was in jail 4 years. In my country, this is not prison. This is nothing. I don't need money. I don't need fucking canteen. I don't need you. Выпенный мается, gangbanger.
Alright, I feel that, but Avon over there, he thinks you might be able to help get a message to the Greeks. The Vandas. I mean, seeing as you don't need my money, Vandas might be happy to have it. If you don't want to see me, you won't. But if you do, it's you that made it happen.
Yeah, it's fascinating. One of the comments from the commentary was just, watching Avon and Marlo at the first interaction, and then of course Marlo again with Sergey. It's like they were just saying, like, imagine if this could have been happening in a boardroom if they had been given different circumstances, been born under different circumstances, and they would have been more effective that way, or that kind of thing. So it's just fascinating. And I mean, Marlo's sales pitch to him is really effective. I mean, obviously we see the result, but it really is good. Like, it's like, here's why this is good for you.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
What's the harm?
I don't need to convince you. It's this kind of shit sells itself. So yeah.
Okay. Shine and shit. Let's go to Carcetti. He is meeting with Steintorf, Watkins, and Wilson. We find out that the school test scores are slightly up, 15 points, but Carcetti is frustrated by how much money it costs to do that. Yeah. He also is thinking ahead to his possible run for governor, and he's worried about what this means for him politically. He's going to have to run on basically the improvement for the schools because he doesn't have anything on crime. He did not get the double digit he had promised for the drop on crime. They mentioned that Campbell's real estate scandal that we talked about in the last episode could hurt Carcetti because if he goes on to be governor, she would likely succeed him. And, now by association, this doesn't look very good. Mm-hmm. They're talking about what they can do to make the governor look bad. And then Carcetti has to head out for a meeting, I think with some county politicians is what it sounded like to me. Anyhow, Watkins, after he leaves, Watkins questions whether he's talking to Steintorf. He's questioning, does it look right for Carcetti to run for governor before he's even finished his first 4 years? Mm-hmm. And Steintorf just kind of shrugs, basically is kind of like a attitude of, that's politics, shine shit, call it gold.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Carcetti is really disappointing me. Really disappointing me.
Yeah, I do think it's so Watkins, I'm trying to think if he has another episode in this season. So we see, but it's like welcome back, Delegate Watkins. Yeah. So that's interesting. Yeah, I also thought it was funny the test scores going up because we know those are bullshit too.
Right.
Probably.
Yes.
And so
probably.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Carcetti just saying I put 54 million for like 30 points or whatever, and I think that there's is and he didn't even care about the school test scores.
Yeah.
Like they Norman told him specifically, don't get involved in the schools. And it's like, well, it turns out that's all we have. And look at this lucky break that we have that the school test scores actually went up. So,
yes,
which I give credit.
Point.
It was probably Presbeluski, all Presbeluski.
It was all the games that they played.
Yeah,
teaching him how to gamble.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what did it.
Yeah, that's right. I got him interested in the learning, and that led to all the other test scores going up. But yeah, I'm just trying. I guess like it's for Steintorf's kind of comment, which is true, is also like he kind of glossed over the fact that like they talked about Carcetti talked about it with Nerys about how he's going to be a one-term mayor. He's almost sure of it.
Yeah.
Right. And Reese is going to come after him the next term anyway. So he's got to get out of the state house with if he wants to make a move up, he's got to do it now.
Yeah.
So and then like some of the one other comment that caught in my mind was they were talking about the governor sounding petty because of like something about Olester, and Olester was one of the reporters from the Baltimore Sun.
Oh, okay.
That they was watching the fire last episode, so I'm not sure exactly. I guess he probably made a comment about a article in the Sun, which I just find very quaint, right? Like that's enough to damage your reputation back in 2008 of just like how you responded to an article. So anyway, I think that covers everything.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the Sun then.
Okay.
Trust but verify. So behind the Baltimore Sun building, some guys are taking a smoke break. Haynes is telling a story about who was the 41st mayor of Baltimore, Tommy D'Alessandro, I
Very
think,
good.
who was the father of Nancy Pelosi.
Very good. Very good.
I did my homework.
Yes, you did.
Okay, Templeton comes up, and he's got a story for Haynes, who is his direct report, his editor. A mother of 4 on the east side who died of an allergic reaction to blue crabs. He says, okay, yeah, go with it. That's fine. Talk about some, how seafood allergies are on the rise, yada, yada, yada. And they go on talking about, mother of 4, like she's a character, she's always catching hell. Somebody mentions innocent bystanders have it worse. Somebody says buxom, statuesque blondes are also very underrepresented in the papers. So a lot of joking around there.
So Somerville, he keeps going back to ask Tommy the Elder follow-ups, right? One question after another his editor wants him to ask. Somerville, knocking on Big Tommy's door, blaming the city desk. Say, I'm sorry to bother you, Mr. Mayor, but my desk wants to know.
Oh, shit, I see it coming.
So 3 or 4 times, right? My desk is wondering, I'm sorry to bother you, Mr. Mayor, but my desk wants to know. So finally, Tommy D'Alessandro, he puts his ear down his desk like this, and he says, my desk tells your desk to go fuck itself.
That really happened? Too good a story to check out.
Yeah. Yep. Just a quick note. Bill Zorcy's dad was a reporter, and he said that story about D'Alessandro was not sure if it was true or not, but that was something that got passed around quite a lot.
Okay.
So that was an actual story that
fun.
got passed around. So they got to share
it.
that. Yeah. So, and then also the other reporter that's down there, I'm forgetting his name, the character name. His name is Thomas McCarthy, and I did a double take because that is also the name of Templeton's. That's the actor's name.
Oh, it is?
Tom McCarthy, yeah.
God, that's so crazy.
There's Thomas McCarthy and Tom McCarthy, so just to screw things up for us. So.
All right. Make it confusing.
Yeah.
Let's see here. They're all in a meeting talking about a big story that they want to do. It's a story on the schools, right? Haynes wants some more context for the story. He argues, it's not just the schools that have failed kids, and we have beaten up on the schools enough, which I would agree with. While, is it Whiting?
Yep.
Okay, he wants something tighter, and that gets some support from Scott Templeton. I'll say, too, at the beginning, he starts out with, he's thinking Dickensian, right? Like, what's kind of funny is, Charles Dickens, he was, paid by the word, I think, or paid by the line. So all of his stuff is super wordy and extra verbose, his stories are. So it's not something I would think that you would want to aim for in journalism, but whatever.
Okay.
He says if you include everything, then it just becomes a story about society's ails. And there's also a mention, maybe it's not as awards friendly, so maybe they're kind of shooting for an award with this to, help buoy the paper or something like that. And he says, Scott's our guy. Templeton's our guy on this. So, great. He's going to do it.
Yep.
The word I'm thinking about is Dickensian. We want to depict the Dickensian lives of city children and then show clearly and concisely where the school system has failed them.
Not to defend the school system, but a lot of things have failed those kids. They're marginalized long before they walk into class.
You want to look at who these kids really are, you got to look at the parenting or lack of it in the city. The drug culture, the economics of these neighborhoods.
And yet the schools are something that we can't address.
Yeah, sure, we beat up on city schools. Lord knows they deserve to be beat on every once in a while. But then we're just as irrelevant to these kids as the schools are.
I mean, it's like you're up on a corner of a roof and you're showing some people how a couple of shingles came loose, and meanwhile, a hurricane wrecked the rest of the damn house.
You don't need a lot of context to examine what goes on in one classroom.
Oh, really? I think you need a lot of context to seriously examine anything.
No. I think Scott is on the right track. We need to limit the scope, not get bogged down in details.
To do what? To address the problem or to win a prize? I mean, what are we doing here?
Look, Gus, I know the problems. My wife volunteers in a city school. But what I want to look at is the tangible, where the problem and solution can be measured clearly.
There's more impediments to learning than a lack of materials or a dysfunctional bureaucracy.
But who's going to read that? What is this series about in a sentence? What's the budget line?
Johnny can't write because Johnny doesn't have a fucking pencil.
Augustus, I'm not as simple-minded as you might think. Now, what do you want, an educational project or a litany of excuses? I don't want some amorphous series detailing society's ills. If you leave everything in, soon you've got nothing. I think the schools are ripe for exploration, and I think Scott might be the man to lead the charge.
Yeah, so first of all, like Dickensian, right? I mean, that first of all, just ridiculous.
It
I mean,
is.
so because
this is not like, you know, may I have some more porridge, please?
right,
You know?
yeah. I mean, and of course, I actually know very little about Dickens. In fact, what I'm sure it's probably like Oliver Twist is probably the reference. But I imagine that a lot of that was like drawn from, his experience. I expect, and it's not, but it's also kind of he was fixating on the more on very specific characteristics, right?
Yeah.
And it's not, and I think as Gus is saying, like you need a lot of context to deal with anything.
Yeah, exactly, to understand this.
And so, but that's not necessarily like those kinds of things that Dickens was kind of addressing are not necessarily like there's not the context isn't there.
Right.
And so, yeah. I mean, I'm watching this and I'm just like, yeah, you can't turn real life into a novel. Like that doesn't really work like that. You need there is all this nuance and stuff.
Yes.
So that's like the first thing. And then, so just a note, the other reporter in the room, his name is Scott Shane, and he is an actual reporter.
Oh.
And he was, believe it or not, at the time was working on a breaking story about Scooter Libby and Scooter Libby being the leak for Valerie Plame.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
And her leaking her information.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
just pretty
God,
crazy
that
was so just a coincidence about that. But as you said, or we talked about like that, he's making the argument, of course, that the schools are not solely to blame. There's there's a way to look at everything, and that of course is like connection back to season 4. It's like you have kids are learning or not learning, not solely because of the school. That might be the case.
Yeah.
But it might also be parents are not engaged. They're not supporting them. Whatever. Blah blah blah. There are all kinds of reasons, and you can't necessarily just pick one. And then of course, like, Whiting, I think, actually does kind of defend himself fairly adequately in saying, like, look, I get where you're coming from,
right.
but we have to pick a lane.
Right, exactly.
And so, that part I do tend to agree with it, but I also think that
there's got to be a compelling story. Yeah.
Right. But there's also feels like a right and a wrong way to do it. And Whiting's like initial idea of like, here's what I want to say. Now let me get all this information and frame it properly.
Yeah.
In the way that I already have this conclusion drawn. That feels like what he wants to do, which of course is not the right way to do it. It's
Agree.
like, irrespective of whether you want to narrow your focus, you still have to present what you learn about it, as opposed to here's how I'm gonna pick and choose from where I want to, which sounds like what Whiting wants to do. So very interesting discussion. And this is the other part of this episode. The Freeman one was the first one where I feel like, okay, if you're gonna take anything away from this episode and maybe even the series, like that's the first one is the Freeman thing, like how politics, money flows through politics, but also this is like what we take in. You need context for what you're learning about, and you can't just, pick and choose what you want to make the picture that you like. kind of thing.
Yes. And I will say it's during this conversation when Haynes is like, well, look at the parents.
Yeah.
You know, and we do get that throughout this episode, this look
Yes,
at the parents
exactly.
and their interaction with the children
Right.
and how they're being raised.
Right.
So,
and you correctly identified that the very next scene
yeah,
is the mother bringing the
Exactly.
kids home. And,
Yep.
you know, and there you go. And so, of course, like, how could you possibly be in a mindset to learn if
yeah,
that's your home
That's
life?
your
I
home
mean,
life.
you know, and I don't want to, I'm not trying to sit in judgment. I'm just
right.
saying.
We got to look upstream with all of these things,
Exactly.
right?
And
Yeah.
then figure out, yes. And each child, you know, you need to have the right approach for the right environment.
Okay, so we've got Haynes back at his desk, and he stops a reporter named Wooten to get some numbers related to the port. You know, she tells him what they are. He kind of repeats them to himself. Okay, drop 12, row 6.4. And then who comes up? It's, what's his name? Klebano?
Klebano.
Klebano. Klebano with Templeton. And instead of the piece that they were going to have, they call it the color piece
Yeah.
or something like that, right? Human interest story, maybe. Instead of the one that they were going to have, Klebano wants Scott to go with his idea, which is around opening day for baseball season. And he says he wants to find some chaw-chewing, Orioles-loving old-timer and interview him. So yeah, that's his plan. I don't understand why this guy is getting so much attention, but he does mention that he's come from a couple of other more prestigious papers right before this.
Is that right? I can't
When
remember.
he's talking to Gutierrez in the previous, like, she seemed to come from kind of like a smaller, this was like a step up,
Yeah.
and this was maybe more a step lateral for him. Or
Okay.
Or no, maybe, I can't remember. He talks about a couple papers that he wants to get to.
Yeah, that's what I remember. I don't remember where he came
Yeah.
from. The only background I had was Klebano mentions the Preakness piece.
Oh,
right?
yes.
And I guess
Yes.
Scott must have just done something with that piece previously.
Right, okay.
And that's what got him the spot.
Okay, it's the middle of the night, and Haynes is sleeping with his pretty wife tucked in next to him, and his eyes pop open. He gets up, tells his wife to go back to sleep, and he calls the paper. He talks to Spry, and they have not yet gone to print, which is good because he is worried that he's transposed the numbers from Wooten, but he did not. So
Yes.
hooray.
Yeah.
All of this to show really this guy's level of care and attention
Correct.
to his work,
Yes.
right? Like, this is something that he really cares about, is being accurate.
Absolutely. Yep.
Hey, Spry, it's me. Is the nightmare still on the copy desk?
Sure is. You need to make a change?
Yeah, I think I just want to check on the port story. I think I might transpose some numbers.
Andy, can I get port back?
Yeah, sure.
We got time on the final. Go ahead.
Yeah, somewhere down in the A matter. Graph about the cargo trends with percentages. Yeah. Read that back to me.
Cargo down 12%, Ro-Ro up 6.4.
12-point decrease and a 6.4 bump in the Ro-Ro?
Yep, that's it.
Shit. I woke up in a sweat because I thought I fucked that up. You sure?
Tonight you had the usual deadline nightmare to no actual purpose. I guess you're better at this than you thought.
Yeah, I guess. Thanks, Jay.
Okay.
And apparently this is the scene that he got the most comments on, Clark Johnson.
Yeah.
That a lot of reporters, this happens to a lot of reporters.
Really?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the reporters that care about their jobs, they
Yeah.
will wake up in the middle of the night wondering if they got the facts right.
They'll think that they did it wrong even when they did it right.
Yeah, and then just a little touch is that he turns on the TV and Nancy Grace is on TV.
Okay, I was wondering about what it was that was on the TV there.
There you
Okay.
go. So
All
she
right.
comes back.
She comes back.
Yeah.
Okay, so Templeton is waiting outside the stadium. He's trying to find a story. He's talking to all these different people, but really no one seems to be a fan. No one seems to be excited about opening day. You have a lot of people that don't even really like baseball. He's got one guy that they keep coming back to who's talking about everything that's wrong with baseball. So he's not finding his chaw-chewing old-timer.
Mhm.
That is for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just noticing, though, about... Sorry, were you done with that?
Nope, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, well, first of all, being a journalist seems like the hardest job in the world.
Oh, for sure.
My God.
Yeah,
having to
just
go and
going
talk to
around,
people and
yes.
just asking them questions like...
First of all, you have to talk to people.
Right.
Second of all.
Yeah, and then
you
try
gotta
to
find
get
a
them,
story from
right.
it.
And then, and I just feel like, I feel like there probably could have been a story about the guy who was at the game but pissed about baseball in general.
Yeah.
And just like, well,
That's
what are you doing
true.
here? So
Yeah,
that
that's
would
a
have been
good
an interesting
point.
story,
That
but
could have
instead,
been an interesting point.
but because he had the picture in mind, that's what he wanted to tell. So
Yes, too locked in.
Yep.
You gotta have some flex.
Exactly.
Okay, well, somehow Scott comes back with, quote, good stuff. And what does he pitch? It's a sentimental baseball story about this disabled orphan.
Yep.
He's, harmed by a stray bullet. His name's EJ. Both of his parents are dead.
Yeah.
Oh, so sad. But there's no art on him. I guess that just means, photography.
Yeah.
And so Haynes is concerned about this, about not having the photo. It's too late to get one now. So after Scott leaves, he talks to another reporter and asks for a little bit of verification on this story. He's trying to figure out who this kid is, see if they can get a picture of him. But the details are not adding up. Later he tells Templeton that he cannot verify the story, pushes back on him. And he does try to say, he's like, look, I'm not saying that I don't believe you. I'm just trying to maintain standards, right? It's gotta look a certain way. But at that moment, Whiting comes in and says he loves it and decides to run with it anyways. So definitely a chain of command in the newspaper as well.
Yep.
And so, yeah, that story's going to run.
Yep. Yeah, I just, the note of this scene is that, Gus is not saying anything.
Right.
But Scott reads it as implication.
Yes.
And there you go. And so that's kind of the tell, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's just, right off the bat, now that, what to think about Scott, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And then we have Corbett again.
Yep.
Who remarks to Haynes about the same exact concerns with the story. And Haynes basically says, I was blessed from above, so couldn't do anything about it.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, he doesn't even have a concern with the verification. He says he wanted to take an axe to it. So that makes you think that it was like, too long or whatever. It was over the top. But for some reason, this Whiting guy loves it.
Yep. Yeah, it's very Dickensian. Some of the if you listen to the the phrase that he shares of Gus in the previous scene.
Yeah.
It is very like overwrought.
Yeah.
Which I don't think you ever hear that term except when you're talking about writing.
Yes, I think you're right.
So just a note is that Bill Zorzi and David Simon had an editor at the Baltimore Sun who used to do that tick, and so the actor that plays Rebecca Corbett got it right on the money, and they said so.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to move into my final storyline here, the serial killer solution.
All right.
Okay, back at Homicide. Now, we know the secondary employment cap has been lifted, so everybody here is joking about the side jobs that they may or may not be getting. Crutchfield is looking at a $20 an hour, jewelry store security gig. Greggs shrewdly points out, you can make more money watching shiny shit than solving murders. Definitely something wrong with that.
Yep.
Perlman stops by to see what's going on at Homicide, and McNulty is super bitter. When is he not bitter?
Right.
He just basically feels like politics killed the Stanfield case, and hey, she's a lawyer, so it's got to be her fault. Her office didn't do anything to stop the killing of this case. So she's had it. Rhonda's had it. She bids them all adieu, except for McNulty.
Right.
And Greggs gets on him. It's like, why are you taking this out on Perlman?
Yeah.
And then a call comes in. McNulty takes it, and we hear a line we've heard before, giving a shit when it's not his turn.
Yeah.
That's from season 1, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Said by Bunk. And so he's going to go out and take this call. He goes up to the top of the parking garage to get one of the service cars, and it won't start. So he kicks it, and he hurts his foot. It's just making bad worse.
Well, it started.
Right now. It started.
But there's a flat tire.
There's a flat tire on it. That's right.
Yeah.
You can't move it.
Right, because they can't shop the cars.
They can't
down
shop
at
the cars
Digging
right now.
Street,
They don't
yep.
have any money for it. So they
Yep.
have like 2 working cars.
Right. Yeah, just a quick note on that, and I guess I'll just jump ahead with some of the music. So first of all, before I get to that though, was McNulty asks Bunk, "What are you qualified for?" And
Yes.
Bunk just gestures towards
I
his
know.
groin, which I thought
Yeah,
was hilarious.
yeah.
That's great stuff. And then, yeah, the song is More Than a Feeling, which is
Yeah.
about reminiscing about the past.
Right.
And so that's kind of like, I don't know, I just like that. It's just because McNulty is kind of back to his roots, but
Yeah.
he's just in a terrible place.
Yes.
It's not anywhere like what it used to be.
Yes.
So, yep, that's all I got for that.
Okay. All right. New scene. McNulty has arrived by bus
Yes.
because there are no working vehicles available.
Mhm.
And there's a cop who's waiting there. He says, "Now I've seen everything. It's great." McNulty explains he took the bus because he didn't think that he would get reimbursed if he took a cab.
Right.
Really sad.
Yep.
He goes into a house to check on a woman who died apparently a couple days earlier. She's
Mhm.
got a pillow over her face. So it looks a little suspect, but probably a natural thing. McNulty mentions, he puts a pillow over his face when he has a hangover. The cop says, "I just puke and go back to work."
Right.
That's apparently, Western guys.
Right, the Western District
That's what
way.
they do. So this all leads up to McNulty being at the mortuary.
Mhm.
And he
The
is,
morgue.
the morgue.
Yeah.
And waiting until his old lady gets checked in for her autopsy or has her autopsy. I don't know. But it's going to be a while. And since it is going to be a while, he's going to go grab some breakfast. He
Mhm.
doesn't seem to mind that he just saw, flayed humans and
Right.
listening to bone saws. And as he's going to head out, there are these 2 detectives that are arguing with a medical examiner. Well, one of them is anyways, because the ME insists that the person they brought in was strangled. And one of the texts is saying, no, it's because of how they had to remove the body, the way that he was wedged in. And so the one guy who's upset with the ME, he takes off. And the other one, Nancy, catches up with McNulty. She's a county detective.
Mhm.
He recognizes and knows. And she tells him, that the MEs knew. She doesn't realize that post-mortem injuries can mimic strangulation.
Yes.
Pretty fascinating.
Mhm.
And she says, "Oh, you going to get some breakfast? Can I get some scrapple with you?"
Yep.
And so they go off to breakfast.
Yep.
Hey, Jimmy.
Nancy, how's tricks?
Heard you were working murders again.
How's life in the county?
Worse every year. You guys can't keep all the dirt on your side of the line.
What's Kevin so odd about?
Oh, new Cutter's dug her heels in. Says it's a murder. It's not, but I can see why she thinks strangulation. The guy's got a fractured hyoid and petechiae in both eyes. But it's a freak thing. If we weren't there to see it, I wouldn't have believed it myself. It's all post-mortem. He fires up a speedball, then blacks out. Falls between toilet and bathtub, manages to get himself wedged back pretty good. I couldn't make this shit up. Medics come, pronounce him right then and there. But get this. They can't pry the guy out without grabbing hold of his neck for leverage. We watched him do it, this Dundalk medic and the morgue guy. They just grab his neck and start yanking. Finally, they get him out. He comes down here looking like a strangle job.
They can't tell that it's post-mortem?
On a fresh body, no one can. Grab a guy too hard and you can cause petechia, break a hyoid, even leave bruising. All after death.
Fuck me.
Yeah. So Infante's about to lose his mind if he can't talk this thing out of becoming a murder. Either that or charge the paramedic. Hey, you going across the street for breakfast? Buy me some scrapple, sailor?
So before we get too far, so that was a real morgue that they were shooting at.
Okay, wow.
And when Clark Johnson was working on Homicide, the TV show, they were also taping at the morgue, and he was actually sitting outside reading an article about of the Baltimore Sun about a homicide, and the medical examiner comes in and says, "Hey, do you want to see the bodies of the people from the article?"
Oh
so
my
the people
God.
from the article that had been killed were actually in the morgue at the time, which is kind of crazy.
Mm.
Yeah, and then I don't know. I'm gonna mention this, I guess. One of the key facts that fuels the conspiracy about Jeffrey Epstein was that his hyoid bone was broken,
Mm-hmm.
which is unusual
for
when it
hanging.
comes for hanging, but it can happen.
But it can
so
happen.
it's just kind of, I just thought that was kind of funny. So the Wire once again ahead of its time. And then the two detectives, Nancy Porter and Kevin Infante, those characters are characters from Laura Lippman books. So they just
really?
did a little hat tip to Laura Lippman again, even though she was in the episode last time, but they still need to like throw some flowers her way. I guess
They just got it.
fine. Yeah.
Okay, well, just for a little bit of continuity. So after breakfast, that is when Nancy takes off and McNulty has the conversation with Freeman.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so now let's fast forward to that night.
Okay.
McNulty, Bunk, and Freeman are venting about how dozens of black murder victims aren't worth proper funding, especially if they're young black males. That if the victims were young white women, they would get all the funding and attention that they need. They point out the Natalie Holloway case.
Very good.
And you get the Aruba comment, the epigraph from Bunk.
Right.
And Bunk says, too, you come up with some way in this broke-ass city. So remember that.
Yes.
Though it doesn't seem to register too much with McNulty in that moment because he just goes off to flirt with a couple ladies.
Yeah.
So whore. He's a straight-up whore.
No question about it.
God.
Yeah.
Guy leaves 24 bodies scattered all over the city. No one gives a fuck.
It's because who he dropped.
True that. You can go a long way in this country killing black folk. Young males especially. Misdemeanor homicides.
Marlo was killing white women.
White children.
Tourists.
One white ex-cheerleader tourist missing in Aruba.
Trouble is, this ain't Aruba, bitch.
You think that if 300 white people were killed in this city every year, they wouldn't send the 82nd Airborne? Negro, please.
There's gotta be some way to make them turn on the faucet.
Come on, Jimmy. You're the smartest boy in the room. You come up with something in this broke-ass city.
Isn't he married to some shit now?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and sorry, this is the third real big takeaway. Like, it is really a shame how, murders happen a lot in this country, and, you get a pretty-looking cheerleader gets abducted in Aruba.
Yep.
And it's national news for, I don't remember exactly,
there's
weeks.
still,
Yeah.
I mean, I still listen to podcasts that go over
Is that right?
the Natalie
There you go.
Holloway case
Yeah.
again.
Well, I mean, you're listening to it. So what do you feel like is drawing you to it?
I guess just, all-American girl goes off. There is it has this element of the guy who did it, or who everyone believes did it.
Oh, no, he pled guilty.
Oh, he did plead
Yeah,
guilty.
yeah, yeah.
Right. Dutch rich boy who's connected,
Yeah.
his father's a judge or whatever. So kind of the injustice from that aspect of it,
Okay.
I think really gets to people.
I see.
Yeah.
So that part I didn't know, but I just read that he pled guilty in 2023.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. 18 years
I
later.
know.
He finally pleads
And for
guilty,
18 years, he kind of dicked everybody around and, was just, he was an indulged little, rich boy in Aruba that got what he wanted and his family protected him.
Right.
So.
Well, and the thing was, right, it's so just, I would recommend people read on it. But as you said, but he also killed somebody else.
Yes, exactly.
But he was also, the reason I think why he confessed is he was being brought in about other crimes that he committed. This guy's just committed all kinds of crimes.
Yes.
And it's the more you protect him, the less, I can get away with this. I'm going to get away with that.
Yep,
So,
exactly.
there you go.
Yeah, he's gotten away with everything.
Yeah,
because
so anyway.
his dad was a judge.
Yeah,
so.
that's, if you're wondering, Natalie
Yes.
Holloway is was the woman who disappeared while in Aruba.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Okay, well, let me see here. So the next day, McNulty is hung over in the worst way. He's got a pack of ice on his head. Keem asks him if he caught hell from Beatty, and he kind of gets defensive. He's like, no.
Bunk asked.
Oh, sorry, Bunk asked that, And then to make it worse, Landsman sends Bunk and McNulty out on a call.
Yep.
And he complains, I'm hungover, Jimmy. No, too bad. Okay, now let's skip to another spot here because Greggs and Crutchfield are reporting to the scene of a shooting, and our reporter Alma Gutierrez is there.
Yep, you see her.
Trying to get comment, but no comment from Kima. And what scene is this? It is the scene that Snoop and Marlo left behind. And so in there we see that 3 adults have been shot dead. And then we hear a little bit of coughing. Kima opens a closet, pushes some jackets aside, and in there is a little boy. He is covered in blood. She kneels down. She grabs him up quickly. She is pissed at the people that were working the scene before she got there. Her eyes are red. She asks if there is media out back, and since there isn't, she tells him to call DSS and waits back there for a car to come and get him.
Yep.
So sad.
Yeah. So, by the way, yeah, I mean, not really much more, but I think that the officer that did not hear and know about the kid, I think that was Officer Castor that Bunny Colvin meets in the first episode of season 3, which is kind of interesting.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, this is just, I mean, what a brutal, just
terrible
reveal. Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you can hear the child in the murder scene calling for, you can hear some wailing.
Yes.
So,
Yep, you do.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Now we have Jimmy and Bunk reporting to their scene, the one that Jay sent them out to. And it looks like, you know, an overdose, right? Another overdose. And McNulty kind of bends down. With the way the camera is on him, you see his face kind of lift up. There's this weird look on his face. Bunk's behind him, asks if he's okay. McNulty quickly gets up. He tells the cop, hey, you know, we got this. Go get a coffee. We got to wait for a while anyways. And then he tells Bunk he's got to get something from the car. He goes to the car. He opens up the trunk. He pulls out a bottle of booze, takes a swig, and he comes back in and he starts staging the scene to look like a strangulation. He starts knocking things over. He damages the wall. He makes sure that some of the, you know, whatever the stuff from the wall, the drywall, is on his clothing. And then he does the sign of the cross over his body and he chokes the dead body. Like he puts his hands around him and squeezes. Bunk is horrified.
Yep. Calls
him a sick fuck. He is beside himself. He cannot believe what is happening. And eventually walks out when McNulty declares there is a serial killer in Baltimore preying on the vulnerable.
Yep.
And he kind of just seals the deal. He takes another drink and turns the guy over and, you know, angles him so his head's down, and it looks like he's kind of like trying to push blood towards his head make the petechial hemorrhaging look correct.
Wow.
I listen to too many true crime podcasts.
Okay.
But yeah, so he's just like doubling down at this point, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the end.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So very good. So that is an important part, is that if he had just broken the bones and there wasn't any bruising, then it would not have made any sense.
Yes.
Yeah, very good.
Ooh.
Yeah, okay. So Bill Zorsi said he struggled with the scene because it's hard to strike the right tone, that you want it to be serious, but, you know, and not too over the top and that kind of thing. So, and he was praising Dominic West for how he approached it. I thought it was doing the sign of the cross and then doing the choke scene was kind of interesting. Okay, so then I want to bring in here. So Alan Sepinwall mentioned that this is where. Well, actually, sorry. Before I do that, what's your read on this particular what looks to be this storyline now?
I don't really like it.
Don't like it in what way?
I just McNulty setting up things to look like there's a serial killer. Do I feel like there's enough for him to go to such desperate measures? I don't know. I mean, yeah, it just doesn't feel like he's had enough. I mean, I know he's had a lot of roadblocks, but this just seems like a step too far even for him a little bit to me. And I don't know. It takes the story into less realistic place than it has been. Like, it's been so steeped in what really, you know, life is like for these people of Baltimore, these cops of Baltimore, everything. And then this just feels too far removed to me a little bit. So that, I guess that's, I mean, I'm still entertained by it, but it just feels like out of step with how the rest of the series has gone.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, and that is actually one of the more, that's one of the more common complaints is that this is too unrealistic.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I have a whole thing about
go
this,
for it,
but
dude.
so just to finish the thought I had started.
Okay.
Alan Sepinwall said that the departure from the standard is how quickly, or sorry, I'm paraphrasing, is how quickly this came together, right? So he's talking about normally what would happen is you would have the discussion with the PG County detective and the hyoid bone, and then, you know, an episode or two, there would be some kind of build up to it. And then there would be this reveal of like McNulty getting this idea. For him to learn about it in the beginning of the episode and then pay it off at the end is pretty unusual for it to go that quickly.
Yeah.
Right? It's like Chekhov's gun kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right? And so that part is unusual for sure.
Okay.
So that's one part of it. But here is where I have come around to. Now, at the time, again, when I first saw this, I think at the time I did not appreciate how close to realism The Wire would hew.
Mm-hmm.
And so it did not bother me. It did not bother me that much that this is like as far-fetched as it was.
Okay.
However, in the intervening years since this episode aired, a book came out called We Own the City.
Mm-hmm.
It is now also a miniseries on HBO about the Baltimore Gun Trace Task Force.
Okay.
And when this episode was aired, they were aware of police officers having what's called drop guns.
Okay.
Meaning that if they needed to fabricate a weapon, they would have one with them just in case in the event that this happened.
Right,
but
okay.
anyway, so that it wasn't even unusual at the time for the police to manufacture crime, essentially, or circumstances that justified or whatever. The Gun Trace Task Force was like orders of magnitude worse than this. And it really just became kind of, this is tame, essentially, compared to what those guys did. Mm-hmm. And so where they were planting drugs and they were planting weapons and they were, you know, essentially just fabricating whatever they felt like they could fabricate, all in the service of just getting paid overtime.
Right.
And getting paid more.
Okay.
So the point is that I understand that it feels far-fetched, and we'll obviously see where this goes. But I am now pretty strongly of the opinion that this is an example of the police framing things. And I almost like, to go back to Freeman for a second, like when you have, oh God, I'm just going to go right in, stepping on a rake here. But, you know, when you see like the thin blue line flag, you're basically saying like, well, the police can do whatever they want because they're serving the greater good or whatever.
Right.
But that means you're not doing anything to make sure that they're doing a good job. Right. Like, hey, well, they're wearing the badge or and they're wearing the uniform. So, you know, they have my support.
Yeah.
And so then we are complicit in their behavior. And anyway, and so here is McNulty, you know, doing this for some purpose. You have a sense of what the
sure. He's trying to reappropriate funds. He's
exactly,
trying to make
exactly.
it seem like, hey, now we got something you guys really got to be concerned about.
Right.
You know?
Right. In service of prosecuting a case that
Exactly.
he knows will have an effect. Anyway,
Yes.
the point is, so there is some kind of noble cause to it.
Yeah.
And so whereas like the Gun Trace Task Force was just those guys getting paid. That's
Yeah.
all they cared about at
Right.
the time. So anyway, my point, I guess, is like, I feel like while it feels far-fetched, I think if you have the right, you know, I don't think that it actually is that far-fetched. I think a police officer certainly could fabricate a crime scene if he wanted to, and he had the right, you know, because it doesn't seem to make any sense. Why would you want to fabricate a murder?
I
right?
got you. I also think though it's like to buy that McNulty's the one who will do that as well makes it even further.
Okay.
from,
that's interesting.
from reality, in my
interesting.
opinion, based on what we know of him. I'm
Okay.
not saying he's not like a reckless. It's so much more than even when like Carver was willing to, I can't remember what season it is,
Yeah.
to move the body across the
Season
with Hampshire,
3. Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
to move the body across the line
Yeah.
there. That was like, oh
Yeah.
God, what, really? Like somebody would take the body and move it? Like, this is so much more than that.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
for an
Well,
established character,
That's interesting. Okay. And I don't
she's
have
not like
much
a
of-
villain out of nowhere.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have anything to say about that. I guess
Yeah.
I guess for me, again, at the time I was like, meh, okay, well, he's
Yeah.
the main character, and
Yeah.
and I did not have the relationship that I
Yeah.
have with him now. So
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
that you have with him. So okay.
That I have with him. We have
Yes,
this
indeed. Yes,
relationship.
he is a handsome
Yes,
man.
He
Okay.
is. He is.
That's why.
Even if
That's
he's
why,
a
Ellie. Just
serial
admit
killer
it.
stager.
Yes, just admit it that you love him, and
I do.
Okay, he is.
But not as much as Dennis.
No, that's true.
Never as much as
Nope,
Dennis.
nope. Okay, but I guess it's the end, right?
Okay. Yeah, it does.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, before we move on too much, I did want to mention Chris Ashworth, who plays Sergey. And there was I had one continuity issue.
Okay.
Which is Marlo calls Sergey Boris.
Yes, exactly. Why would he call him Boris?
Exactly. Why would he call him
Unless they just want to call all Russian, everybody wants to call Russian people
Yes.
Boris. I don't think that's true.
No, and Marlo would not have the context, which
No.
I thought was funny. So, but Chris Ashworth actually did study Russian. And so when he speaks Russian right before he calls Marlo a gangbanger,
Okay.
he's actually kind of drawing from his own experience.
I
So
see,
thought
but
was kinda cool.
he himself is not.
No, correct.
From Russia.
No, he's from
Okay.
like North Carolina
He does
or
a pretty
Virginia or something like that.
Convincing job.
Indeed. But moving on, we'll get into the music and the rest of our categories. So talked about More Than a Feeling. That was when McNulty was in the cop car. Now you, detective, got all of the artists. I think Black Coffee by Sarah Vaughan is when Lester sits at the Marlo location and brings out his
It's
magazine.
not by Sarah Vaughan, is it?
That's
Well,
what-
or it being sung, I thought by. Is it being sung by Sarah Vaughan?
Did you pick up somebody else? Oh, you thought it was Etta James?
Yes.
Oh no, wait, no, that's later.
Oh no, that's
no,
not.
no. You thought it was Ella Fitzgerald.
Ella Fitzgerald.
Well, I have Sarah Vaughan here.
Okay.
I might be wrong. We'll have to, listener, what do you think? Email us at wiredandrewired@gmail.com.
And that one makes sense because that one is actually about somebody who's like drinking coffee, waiting up late for her boy to show up.
Wow.
And she's really messed up about it.
Okay.
And he's sitting there waiting all the night. So
Wow.
that one makes sense.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good.
And
Okay.
Piece of My Heart, I think, makes sense.
Also
too.
that, yep, Piece of My
Yeah,
Heart by,
okay.
and as you said, Irma Franklin, very
Yeah.
good. And then finally, Don't Cry Baby by Etta James
Yeah.
is when Chris and Marlo finally meet later that night. So I guess what is Don't Cry Baby about it?
That one is just a lot of don't cry baby.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
it's just like over and over again.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
Well, no, I mean, it just be happy, right?
I guess so.
It paid off for him.
Yes.
Okay, and then At the Bar when McNulty, Bunk, and Lester is All My Love by Donald Harrelson, which I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's anything to that. I can't think of anything, what it means exactly. And then finally, Cry to Me by Solomon Burke is when Bubbles is in front of the church. So that's interesting.
Yes.
So there you go.
Yes, I like that.
Okay, let's move on to our killer cameos. Did you have anybody?
Let's see here. The mom who is, about to hit her child.
Yep.
That one is pretty convincing. And then also the guy who gets mad at the medical examiner and the medical examiner too, but I think more the detective.
I had them both. Too.
You had that
Very
too?
good. Weigel. And Kevin Infante is played by Anthony Mangano.
Okay.
Very good. Yeah, he was really convincing.
Yes, he
but
was.
I liked her too. I thought
Yeah.
she stood up to him really well. So
Yes.
that was good. I was not able to pick out the mother and child actors. Apparently that child was really crying.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
it looks like
yeah.
it. And that kind of makes me want to give it to her because that's got to be hard to work with the child that has to really be crying and I don't know. It would be really uncomfortable unless she's his mom, but then but still.
Maybe so. Yeah, I don't know. They were saying on the commentary that that kid was going to be traumatized after that. So. And then Nancy Porter, I like too, that she played the homicide detective as well. That McNulty takes out to breakfast.
Yes.
By the way, in case, I think we talked about this before in season 2, but just as a reminder, Scrapple apparently is Pennsylvania Dutch dish, and it is basically everything that is not used primarily from the pig, swept together, mashed into a pate, and deep fried.
Gross.
So yeah, it sounds pretty gross. But apparently it's
Baltimore favorite,
Baltimore favorite. So there you go. Okay, so those are our killer cameos. So let us get into the Mr. Nugget life lessons. I have so many. I'm really making up for what I missed last time.
Okay.
Do you have any off the top?
I mean, I would just say, like, I like what Waylon says to Bubbles, and just kind of like, you have to step up somewhere. Okay, you don't want to step up for this, and you have to figure out what is the thing that you can do.
Yeah.
There's got to be something.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So I liked that message.
Okay.
Yeah. You might not be ready for this now, but you still have to step up in some way.
Yeah.
Be present, help out, so find whatever it is your avenue. If that's going to be washing dishes first, then that's washing dishes first.
Yeah.
Don't discount that you can do the thing later, but doesn't mean don't step up now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in service of kind of, I guess, I don't know, is it in service of redemption or just in general?
In general, but in service of redemption for sure.
Sure.
Yeah, because you'll feel better if you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yep.
Good job. Good one. I had that as well. And,
okay.
But yeah, I'll leave it there with that. I have some smaller ones that I did want to mention. So McNulty, when he took the bus, hey, don't sleep on mass transit. Take mass transit if you can. Just takes a little bit more planning.
For sure.
But it's a great way to go.
Yeah.
I used to take the bus into Seattle when I worked in Seattle, and it was great. I loved it, and I highly recommend it if you can get away with it. Be careful about protesting too much.
Yeah.
Right? It just reveals. So when Scott says, I resent the application, he's giving it away.
Yeah.
That, it's like, hey, if you feel that you're like being called out and they're not actually calling you out, then keep your
exactly.
Keep your mouth shut.
Then just say, yeah, I wish we could find that out.
Yeah. But connected back to what Dee Dee said at the very beginning, it's that these rules that you set up are generally, they're just basically you telling yourself what I'm going to do next.
Yeah.
Right. Without like the principle, if you're not standing on principle.
Right.
Which I just thought was pretty interesting. And I will get into some of that a little bit more later. So next one is Clay Davis saying, I'm out there doing the Lord's work for you, Irv.
Yeah.
I just thought it was hilarious. And it's just a reminder that we all think we're the heroes of our own story. So he's like, I'm being great. And you're like, wait a minute, what is it you're actually doing? And
right.
Like, I'm doing the Lord's work. It's like, I don't think that's the Lord's work, Clay.
No, it's not.
So it's a very common behavior. I would not judge anybody for this, but it is. But to not then identify that maybe I'm not the hero here.
Yeah.
That is where I would say maybe it's time to take a close look in the mirror.
Yeah.
So, oh, and I forgot to mention that Clay Davis, like Isaiah Whitlock, is like almost crying.
Oh
in that.
God, yeah, he's
so
worked up at that. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, continuing on.
I carried water for you.
Yeah, exactly. God,
Sorry,
so
I
good.
just love it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I loved. So just to connect it back, what you said before the stand up for something.
Okay.
I loved Waylon's comment about a searching and fearless moral inventory.
Yeah.
And I guess it's like connected back. It's like you have to be willing to take inventory and do it fearlessly.
Right.
And really search.
Yes.
To make sure that you understand
honest
the depths.
with yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
So I just love that, and it's one of those lines. I guess like I did not know that was one of the steps of the 12 steps.
I did not know that until I looked that up
There you
either.
go.
Yeah.
So-
I was like, it's such a unique thing for him to say.
Yeah.
So that's why I ended up looking it up.
Yeah. And then just a couple more. God, I have a lot here. You need a lot of context to examine anything. Felt like that was a good one.
Yes.
Like anytime you take a snapshot of something that probably has a lot of depth to it, you probably are not getting much of the story. And if you're drawing a conclusion from that, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Right.
So again, a searching inventory, I guess, is another way to look at it.
Searching inventory.
Now, as much as I hate to give Whiting any kind of credit, if you leave everything in, you have nothing. Which
Yes.
Ellie is an accomplished writer. When you are writing a book, I imagine you have a very specific person or a very specific set of people that you're writing for.
For sure.
So, right. So you
Yep.
can't be appealing to everybody.
I cannot. No,
Yeah.
I got to narrow down my audience.
There you go.
Yes.
So I thought that was a good note.
Yes.
But then, because Whiting is a piece of shit, a principle or a standard is a standard. Otherwise, it's a guideline. And that my old boss used to say that to me. Like we when I was working for him.
A standard is a standard. Unless it's a guideline.
Otherwise, it's a
guideline.
Meaning that you're gonna a guideline. You're just gonna be like,
right.
yeah, it's kind of it's a suggestion.
Yeah.
Whereas a standard is this is
You
the way
have
that
to
I
meet
yeah. Or to put it differently, a principle is a principle. If you have principles, then you will and you believe in those principles.
Yeah.
You will live your life by those principles.
Right.
That's why you shouldn't have that many. Because it's too hard.
Yes, exactly. Don't be too principled.
Right. But if you're willing to bend, and so, I just finished the story. My boss, when I was working for him, we had like the way we had to govern the job I was working, we were working with external people, and you had to have these rules in place. But we only had 3. That was it. It's like, here are the 3 rules that we have to apply, and this is how it's going to work. If you had more than that, there was no way we'd survive, because we were talking about like, dozens of interactions a day with external people. And if you were making exceptions, and I would say, well, what we should make an exception here. It's like, well, if you make an exception there, then you're going to make an exception over here. And then before you know it, you're making exceptions all over the place.
Right.
And it's no longer a rule. It's a guideline, and you'll bend that whenever you feel like it. And there's no justification one way or the other. And so the point is, you should have really core principles that you believe in. And so to go back to the newspaper, the standard is, we should be able to have a picture of the person that we're writing about, and we should be able to have verifiable information and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And Whiting comes in and says, that's not so important. And so it's no longer a standard.
Right.
And, we're making this one exception this one time, but, are you going to make an exception another time for some other reason, and that nobody really understands anymore? So anyway, that's just a really, Take a searching moral inventory. I'm just keep repeating that. Take a searching moral inventory about what your principles are, what are is really guiding you day to day, and make sure you're living by those things and you're not bending them. And if you are, then that's okay too. It just means that it's not something that you need to spend that much time worrying about. So I think that's basically it.
I think that's good.
Okay, well, and that gets us to the most exciting part of the episode, which is, come on, you can do it.
Okay.
Okay, which is Ellie's predictions. So, let's see, anything about the episode holding up? I actually think kind of didn't hold up this time, because the notion of, as we talked about, like the notion of a governor having a reaction to an article in a newspaper, making you look bad, that's hilarious.
Yes.
That just does not exist anymore.
Agree.
And then like Nerys, like a scandal about like real estate, just making her look bad and affecting her ability to become the mayor. That is insane.
Yeah.
It's sad.
But still holds up in that people are still talking about Natalie Holloway.
Right. Oh, definitely that. Okay.
So at least we have that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that gets us to the end, though. And your predictions. Ellie, what do you got?
Okay. I think Bubbles is... I think eventually he is going to speak.
Okay.
I know that, but I'm wondering if maybe he figures out another way to do some kind of service.
Okay.
Before that.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if he figures out some other ways to help, to step up.
Okay.
So I've got that. I don't think it's going to happen in the next episode. I do think Davis is going to turn and start giving them some names and information that they need, but not quite yet.
Okay.
I think Vondis will agree to work with Marlo.
Okay.
And directly, without Prop Joe.
Okay.
The money will be too good. And let me see here. I think that Templeton is going to make up another article. And I think Jimmy is going to stage another scene.
Okay. I mean, that's 5.
Okay.
And you pretty much covered every storyline, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Carcetti, not a lot of interesting stuff with Carcetti, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know that Freeman and McNulty will make any more headway on figuring out something about Marlo yet.
Okay.
Not without having that extra help.
Okay.
From the police.
Okay, well, I'm happy to let you off the hook there. I also we'll just keep the Bubbles train going.
There is
Bubbles
Omar coming out of retirement. I'm not exactly sure how. I mean, the only thing I can think of is if Ronaldo didn't go down with him, or if they find Kimmy or Butchie. Everybody knows Butchie is Omar's guy.
Mm-hmm.
So if they try to get him through somebody else, is the only way I can think of that they might get him out of quote-unquote retirement, if he is even in such a thing.
Okay,
that's what I got.
All right. Excellent predictions.
Okay.
Very thorough.
Thank you.
Got them all. Okay, well, that is excellent, and we will leave it there.
Let's do it.
So we will be back next week to cover Season 5, Episode 3, Not for Attribution. But until then, Ellie, as always, thank you so much for an excellent episode.
Thank you, Chris.
And we will see you all next week.
Bye, everyone.
The Wired and Rewired podcast is Ellie Peterson and me, Chris Aronchek. Our theme song is Nice Vibes by Neon Beach. Want to holler at us? You can email us at wiredandrewired@gmail.com or hit us on the burner at 240-488-0060 to leave us a voicemail. We're Wired and Rewired on all the socials. And of course, if you like the show, please give us a rating and review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. It helps other Wire fans discover the show. And until next time...
I just throw up once or twice and go to work.